What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down how the market is looking so far and why a new downtrend is likely starting. But before I break anything down, let me just say a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Mumu link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Mumu and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you put in $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very, very soon. Anyways, when it comes to the market, guys, I wanted to give you guys this important warning. Tesla's looking relatively weak, getting this big rejection off 183 and continuing to sink, and we're barely holding 175 right now. But one thing that's kind of contributing to more downside is the overall market and the negative sentiments about Tesla from the media this morning. So let's talk about SPY and the others before I break down Tesla, excuse me. So for SPY, I called out 518 as tough resistance. I told you all to watch this very carefully. I said if we ended up rejecting off that, expect a big move to the downside. If we held that, we could have tried to, push. So I gave you guys this warning to watch the resistance, and we got this big rejection off 518. But on top of that, I want to call out that if you look at the daily time frame on SPY, we're still looking kind of bearish right here. Look at the daily candlestick, and we have this big gap to fill at this 497 area, which I believe will get filled over the next couple of weeks. So that being said, the chart is looking quite bearish. SPY just lost 512, and we have a target of now 510 that's likely coming. We could get a little rebound going into next week, but then I think we're going to continue lower. And if we fail to break this 518 high, we're going to just continue to sink. So it looks like a new downtrend is finally here. I think that we're going to pop a little bit, then continue to sink. And ultimately, I do see this thing dropping to lower levels like this gap at 507 and levels like that. Here are the specific targets, though, just to be safe. We just lost 512, so the next critical support is going to be closer to 510. There's a minor support here around 511, but it's not that strong compared to like 510. Then we also have 508.5 below that, so be very careful on SPY. On top of this, resistance is going to be at 512, 512.5, and then 514.2, so be very, very careful. The chart still looks bearish. For the QQQ, same thing, massive rejection thanks to Nvidia as well. We were trying to break our all-time high and we failed at 448.5. And I warned you guys about this resistance. I told you to watch it on the QQQ. We could get this rejection, and that's what ended up happening. So now we're approaching support at 438. If we lose this, a bigger drop is going to be coming. I also want to call out that on the daily of the QQQ, check this out, guys. We have a bearish looking daily candlestick, and on top of that, we have a big gap below down here around this 425 area, which I think is going to get filled over the next couple of weeks. So look for a little rebound and then a downside move. I think we're due to fill this gap. I think the QQQ is going to cool off even more. It could even sell off more. So if we lose 438, watch 435.94. And see if we try to hold that before we continue lower. Tesla's barely holding 175 now. The market is sinking, dragging it lower. Tesla is looking pretty weak to me, guys. Watch 175 very carefully. 178 as resistance. And 175 is key support. If we lose 175, a bigger drop is coming. Tesla's barely holding on, and I think another move to the downside is likely coming. On top of this, when you look at the charts, it's continuing to look bearish. We're failing to get these breakouts. We're continuing to sink, and we have a target of 172 coming if we fail to get that bounce. We need a bullish catalyst for there to be hope for Tesla. If we don't get it, this thing will continue to sink, and the news is not helping. Almost all the news about Tesla has been horrible for the last couple of days, unfortunately. I want to be honest with you all. It is what it is. When it comes to Nvidia, we called out 974. I told you to watch this. If we get a rejection, this thing could sink. And then I warned you guys about some downside targets because I was a little worried about a rejection. And that's what ended up happening. We're all the way down towards this gap fill area. We're approaching it at 858. We're in the 800s. We were just close to 1,000. Now we're back in the 800s. Nvidia is down almost 6%. This is insane. With Nvidia dropping this hard, make sure you watch this support down here. We have a potential gap fill coming at 858 and also the support at 855. If we lose this, a bigger drop is coming towards the 830s. Be careful on Nvidia, guys. There is a risk of more downside. And what else is very ironic is, despite the fact that most stocks are dropping, some stocks like SoFi are holding up, and also Apple, it's still trying to hold 172. We also have this gap to fill all the way up to 174, but I want to warn everyone that 172.5 is a tight resistance alongside this yellow trend line. Look at the yellow trend line, which is where we have this resistance. The yellow trend line is right here towards the 173 area, so we could reject off here, so watch that very, very carefully, but we're still looking relatively weak nonetheless. for the overall market. Apple is making an attempt to push up. It could push a little bit higher, but watch this yellow resistance. We're still on a downtrend on Apple. We haven't officially broken this resistance yet. So be very careful as this thing approaches that level. It was due for a bounce. We're finally getting it, but be very, very careful. Now, let me talk about a couple more. Tesla's still barely holding 175, not looking the best, though. So I want to warn you about that. SoFi is holding up nicely. It's just testing resistance at 7.7, close to the 5 EMA. ARM is down, super micro coming down as we were talking about. We have this gap to fill at 900. Now we're barely holding 1100. If we lose this, a bigger drop could come towards 1000 flat. And then we have 900 and 906 basically coming after that. There's a risk of a big rejection on super micro, so be careful. Palantir is down. I was talking about these downside targets yesterday. Some stocks like Coinbase are holding up very well, but we did get a big rejection off this 270 area. So even though it's up this much, there is a risk of it coming back down to 235. And for Amazon got a big rejection on the daily. There's a risk of 172 in my opinion. Same thing with Meta, big rejection. It tried to break 523, got a big rejection, and we couldn't return to about 480 if we end up losing support at 490. So I think it could be approaching 494, 490. That zone right there. If we lose 490, a bigger drop is coming. So we'll see if it holds or not. With that being said, guys, that's your quick update for now. Tesla's just getting hit with lots of bad news, looking kind of weak on the daily. So be very careful on Tesla, guys. There is a risk of more downside. I'm just here to give you guys the warnings. All right. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it, everyone. I want the best for all of you out there, but please heed my warnings. Do what you have to do, and I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours. Thank you so much for listening, and peace out.